Namaste, Satinder.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for being on my channel today. Could you please introduce yourself? Where are you from? And what were you doing? And how did you end up in India? And what are you doing here now?
My name is Satinder Singh Khalsa, which is an Indian name. That's a long story that you don't want me to tell about becoming Sikh on my path to finding Sanatana Dharma. That was one of the stops. No, there's no short version, okay. But it's in there, and it has to do with a style of yoga. So, I was teaching yoga in the U.S. and I was practicing Ashtanga this is my 24th year practicing Ashtanga. And at a certain point, I decided it's finally time to come here. And so you don't make a lot of money in the U.S. teaching yoga typically, but my town I was in, I had been teaching for some time and I was well known, so I made enough money to build up to come. So when I finally came, I hated it because it was everything that I needed to figure out in myself, you know. The chaos was inside here. And I have a friend who's an astrologer that's born and raised in Mysore but lives in the north, and he says in the West, you guys want everything to look nice in certain ways, so you make the streets clean, the cars are clean, the lawns are cut perfectly and everything. But so the chaos has nowhere to be but inside here. And in India, they're like, we don't want the chaos in here, so we have all these techniques to learn to keep this nice and calm and clean. So the chaos is out here, but we don't care because we feel good inside.
That is such a lovely description.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt.
I tell that to people all the time when they say something because it is the truth. I'm not going to say every Indian is calm and peaceful inside. I'm not going to say every American is chaos inside. But in general, it covers the truth, you know. So when I started confronting that chaos, I thought, I can't handle this. I don't want to do this. And I couldn't wait to go home. And when I went home, maybe in 3 days, I only could think about coming back here. So I thought something's there. So
and when was your first trip to India?
10 years ago. February 13th, I arrived of 2014.
Okay, so, and you came to Mysore?
I came to Mysore. Flew to Bangalore. And
Mysore is relatively less chaotic city in India, no?
It is, but when you're used to the very organized, the cars drive like this, they do, you know, everything's organized. And you come here and this is the driving, which I love now. It's my, you know, I go back there and try to do this, but it's not possible. It seems chaotic. And then when you go around India a little bit, you're like, oh, Mysore is like soft and relaxed and okay. So Mysore is India, not India light. It's still India. It's there. But it's a very comfortable version.
It is a comfortable version, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think has changed in India from 2014 to now in a decade?
I think in general, many Indians are more westernized now than were back then. I think in South India it's still less than it is in North India. In general speaking, you know, there's always exceptions to the rule. When I first came to Mysore, these roads were all dirt. And when it rained, it would create a groove through the, you know, it was all like this. It was it felt very much more like the rest of India. And now it's a little bit more organized, a little bit more cleaned up. You know, Mysore also wins awards all the time for being clean.
It is, yeah.
But in general, what's changed, it's hard to put your finger on it because it's very subtle. But that's the beauty of Indians is when something new comes, they figure out how to fit it into their already busy day and they just go about, okay, that's fine, that's good. We've got space for that, okay. Somehow they find more space for it, you know. I think that's because of that clear emptiness inside. When you have a lot of chaos inside, there's no more space to accept new things. But here there's more space.
To accept and integrate?
Yeah. And so the people are a little bit, they aren't bothered by, like at home, if a new thing came, I can't handle another new thing. We have to keep it the same. Here they're like, okay, that's fine. That doesn't, you know, they're just shift around it, like a river flowing around a rock. Oh, someone threw a new rock in the river. Okay, we have to go around that, you know.
Right. Not so much rigidity, you would say, in people's conscience here.
Very much fluidity. So it's not easy to point your finger at it directly. There's more development now than there ever was. Of course, we're in a wealthy area, but if you drive outside, there's more stores going up, more restaurants going up, more cafes, more.
Is the landscape also looking a little westernized? Not just the people, but because of the development?
No.
Not so much.
No, because the style of building and everything is very different. So to me, it doesn't. Maybe to someone else it does, but to me, no.
Okay.
India is very specific in the way it does things. And where you are in India, everyone says India like it's one country. India is thousands of countries. There's so many, like this area, because it rains, they have sloped roofs and they do, you know, it's all different. But depending on where you are, it looks very different, that development, you know.
Have you traveled a lot in India?
Not a lot, but enough. I like Mysore, and my problem is if I am gone away to teach or work, whatever I'm doing, and then when I come back, if I come back to Mysore first, I get stuck here because it's very easy to be here.
Right.
And so what I try to do is when I come back, I try to travel and then come back to Mysore, and then I'm okay. But now I have a guru that lives here that I live with, so that pulls my focus, and I go there. And now I'm getting ready to leave at the end of the month, but I'm going to do a little travel before that. And I'm okay with it because I'm here so much. As much as I'm able, I'm here. So,
Could you tell me a little bit about how you met this guru and what path he teaches you?
So, the friend I mentioned who said this quote about the chaos outside and the chaos inside is an astrologer, and years ago gave me a like the business card size laminated thing of this certain goddess, and I had never heard of her, and he didn't really know why. He had got it at Meenakshi in Madurai, and just said, I think I'm supposed to give this to you. So the goddess is Pratyangira. I had never heard of her, and so I didn't know. I just kept it, and I carry wherever I go, I carry an altar with me, and so I thought, okay, she's here for a reason. I don't know what it is yet, but so I'll put her here. And then a few years later, a friend of mine was looking for someone to go to a Pratyangira temple with her on the other side of Bangalore. It's like in Hosur in Tamil Nadu, but you know, 3.5 hour drive, no big deal. So I went, and the energy was very strong. And then a few months after that, this is over the course of years, from 2017, maybe I got that card, maybe 16. Maybe 17, I think, to 2019. There was a flyer. Because I go to temples a lot. Anyone in Mysore knows that, so they won't know that, so I'll say that. But I go a lot, and my friend is here now also. We used to go around a lot together. And we were at one temple and leaving, and he saw a flyer, and it's for this same goddess, but a local temple. And I'm like, okay. So I took a photo of the flyer and forgot about it. And then one day he came and said, I have free time, what are you doing? Did you ever find that temple? And I said, no. So we Google mapped it, went there. And I kept, that energy is strong, and I kept getting pulled to, every few days I would drive back out there. And then one day, Guruji just, well, I didn't call him that yet. I didn't really call him anything. His name is Yoga Vidananda, but that's a mouthful, so I didn't say that. I just kind of went there, sat at the temple, meditated. Didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing, because it's a Kerala style, so they don't do the same thing, Arati and all that, like they do at small temples here. So I'd sit there and meditate, and then one day he said, come over here and I'll give you some prasad. And then pulled me in his office and we talked. And that happened every time I came after that, and we would sometimes talk for hours, sometimes for 20 minutes. And then one day he said, I just feel like you aren't someone who swims on the surface. You like to dive deep, and I want you to come move here and I'll teach you my path. So he is a tantrika from Kerala who follows Srividya and Kalikulap. They're the Shakta path of Sanatana Dharma, those are the two main ones, and there's little offshoots. And the Kerala version of them is different. In Kerala, people kind of keep their self quiet, so they don't share everything with everyone so easily. So no one knows there's really a difference between the regular Sri Kula and that one. But it's there, but it's slight. You know, they follow the same ideas. And then I left the country to work, and got stuck outside of the country for 2 years from COVID. So he and I would just video chat and all this and that. And then I moved here. Whenever the gates reopened, I was able to come back. I moved back and I lived with him for a year, and now I'm back there for 6 months this time. And when I'm not here, we stay in touch, because I was in North India for 6 months last year, and we call each other all the time. And it's a Tantra Vidya that follows the Pratyangara lineage, but it also has elements of different paths in there. I think, which is what happens with anyone. Like, if you go from one guru to you're going to have other things that you've learned already that influence so then when you teach someone, it's going to be different than what they taught you. It's going to be your own interpretation. So I think that's really what it is. But it's the mantra and the stuff that we do has really cleared up my mind and gave me a lot of space. So now I understand the quote my friend was saying, because there's a lot of space, and I'm like, okay, I think I got it. You know, now it makes sense to me.
Right.
Before that, I was doing asana, which is nothing wrong with asana, and it helps my body. And I was getting a lot of benefits, but it wasn't always like the idea of the yoga's chittavritti nirodha. That idea that this is supposed to be affecting my mind wasn't totally happening, but the mantra really cleared that